Welcome to another edition of this week's MMA Huddle. You're joined by myself and Big Willie Style, and we're going to go over the upcoming Cerrone Gaethje card going down in Canada Town. But before we hit that, we're going to go over UFC 242, pretty significant special card. Also, at the end of the whole thing, at the end of the picks, we're going to do Will's bets, so do check out that. And as always, feel free to hit that subscribe button down below. The more subscribes, the more love. Joining the community as always. Feel free to join discussions with your picks, your bets, just general conversation on MMA. We do our best to reply back as and when we're both free. So feel free to join in the conversation. So Will, like I said before, we're going to touch on UFC 242. Pretty special card. Pretty tremendous kind of moment, and also for Khabib, exactly what kind of needed to happen, the venue, the setting for him. Obviously, I think next, if I was Khabib, I'd love to have that title defense in Russia against Tony Ferguson, because I think he's the rightful number one contender. But overall, Will, what did you think of the event, the card, and the results?
Yeah, well, it was a totally different kind of card for what they kind of used from the UFC, because everything was just made for this event, and it looked great, to be fair. Abu Dhabi, they don't mess around. They build their own stuff. They do everything differently, their own way. I quite enjoyed it, the bits that I kind of seen of it. I have not managed to see some of the early fights, but I think the result, it kind of needed to be that, and I kind of expected that, if I'm being honest with you. It was a huge event for pretty much the Russians that were on the card, but for Khabib especially. And the kind of lead up the last few days before the fights, I thought he was maybe showing a little bit of pressure, and I think that was just the stress and the strains of the fight week getting to him. But once he got into his kind of dominant part where he is in the cage, he's an absolute monster in the cage. And I mean, there was a couple of times when Pori landed some good shots, kind of not pushed him back, but got his attention. I think there was the guillotine choke where it was, Khabib has come out and said that, look, it was actually quite tight. But the guy is a man mountain when he's on top of you. And that choke, you can see, I think there's a great picture of when he gets the choke in, and you can see how he's crushing everything in your throat, and that's crazy strength. But it's I still think there's more to come from him. Honestly, I think that there's a massive arena in Moscow. If the UFC don't go there with Khabib main eventing somewhere, then I think they've made a massive balls up somewhere. We've had Ferguson, Tony Ferguson. I think he's been an aerial show. I've not been able to listen to it, but I saw a couple of kind of sound bites from it, and he's saying that Pori's performance was lazy. And I'm like, dude, I don't think it was lazy at all. I just think he was facing the best lightweight we've ever had, possibly one of the most dominant champions we might ever have. And you're next, pretty much. So, like I say, if they don't make that fight, and they've tried to make it loads of times, but I think there's been times as well where Tony's not wanted that fight, and they've went elsewhere, or somebody's pulled out, or there's been this and that. Tony, he is obviously the rightful participant in the next fight with Khabib, and there really is nobody outside of that you could give it to. You give it to maybe Makhachev, but that's never going to happen with Khabib being there. That's what I'm saying. I think and that's another thing as well. I think once Khabib exits, we don't know how long Khabib's going to be around. I think we'll see him maybe, I want to say 2 years tops, maybe, if we're lucky.
If I was Khabib, get to 30-0.
Yeah.
That'll do. Nice little 30-0. Go.
Because he's desperate for this GSP fight, isn't he? So
yeah, get 30-0, leave the game. Money's not really the game for him.
No, it's not.
But he'll have made money. He's a superstar back home. He literally won't have to do a goddamn thing back home. No. Leave at 30-0. If I was him, hold your head up high. Don't bite and come back. Just stay there and be like that. Just be king. I think
Yeah,
it would suit
it's
her,
like even I think I watched an interview last week where he was saying that like once he leaves the sport, he doesn't really want to be in and around it. He's going to build a couple of gyms, he said, and then
Yeah.
kind of deal with it from there. But like I say, I think there's a couple of fights that I would love to see him at 170. I think he would be a great addition up there with the good wrestlers that they have with Covington and Usman and so on. I think he would run. He'd be up there fighting for the belt very, very quick, if not a straight title shot. But
Because he's massive for 155.
yeah, he's a big dude. He's so strong. See, when if you ever see him flexing after he weighs in, like his muscles under there are unbelievable, man. They're so, it just looks like, and like his top position, his top control is so tight to your body that that's what Poirier came out and say. Like his top position, it's like I don't know how to get out from this guy. It's like he's hard to. I can't get him off me. Yeah. And I think that's. I don't care who you are. He's going to do that to every single person in that division, and you're kind of hoping that you're going to catch him on an off night. And if you don't, you're going to have an L next to your name when you're facing Khabib Nurmagomedov, I think. So great, like I say, great for him. I think it's great for his religion stuff, going there, having a fight, and but there's still big things to come from Khabib. I'm actually, it's weird. I've always really liked him as a fighter, but his last couple of fights, the one against Conor, this one here, and you can see his greatness. Like, and you could see it before. If you didn't see it
fights
before,
as well as great.
Yeah. And now he came to one. I think he took the last couple of rounds off in that one and still won them. I think
he was just being cautious. Got a new opponent, new style. Why risk it? Be safe, be smart.
I agree with you there. But it's just he's turning into. I'm not going to say I'm a massive big fan of his, but I do get excited watching him fight because his skill set is so dominant. And you don't see fighters like that take very little, but they give out a lot. Like he gives out so much to his opponents. Like he really gives them a belting pretty much. So I'm looking forward to seeing him coming back. They're talking. I think Ferguson's saying that.
He said he wants to before February. He wants to fight.
He wants to fight him in Vegas in December. That's what he said. So and he's like defend or vacate, and I'm like, Tony, shut up.
Shut up. Yeah, exactly. He's just defended. Like, who are you? You couldn't fight.
Yeah,
so I would like to see Russia pay-per-view January.
Yeah. Oh well.
If I'm Khabib, I'd be like, look, I hold the cards. I'm the superstar. Russia, hometown. Let's do it. Yeah. Tony Ferguson won't care where the fight is. I think Russia would be fantastic. It'd be huge, absolutely monumental event. You've got a ton of Russian stars again, easy to fill it. Islam Makhachev, like you said before, trains with Khabib all the time. He potentially is a future. I think he might get someone like a Barboza or a Felder next, because what do you do with Barboza though? He lost the decision. He didn't really lose the decision, but he's still got another L. He's kind of in a tough place right now. He doesn't want to be a gatekeeper for top 5 guys, but
I think he's a gatekeeper now. I think he's a gatekeeper to top 10 guy. I'll put it out there. I thought he beat Paul Felder.
He did, yeah. I agree.
I think you agree with me as well. I just think I think the guy's taken a lot of damage. He's had a lot of fights in the UFC. He's going to be the names that people outside the top 15 are going to be aiming for, because he's going to fall back. I think he was 6 or 7, so he's going to probably move outside the top 10 now.
Maybe.
Or right about that top 10. Felder's going to move into his position, 6, 7, whatever. So people are going to be are gunning for Edson Barboza now, and the guys sitting outside are definitely going to be aiming for him. But who would you match Paul Felder up with next?
Gosh, that's a horrible one, isn't it, to pick really for 155, because you think you wouldn't do Dustin Poirier.
No.
Gosh, who would you put him as? It's a horrible matchup. I'd have to. What fights have we got coming up in the one? Well, look, you think Cerrone Gaethje, possible winner of that fight, would be a possible one to do, to be honest with you, because they've just fought a week after each other. I would possibly look at either the winner or the loser of this one against Felder. Maybe the loser, and then the winner gets one of the top 3 kind of guys, maybe, or something like that. The winner of this maybe fights Poirier. No,
Yeah.
because if Gaethje wins, already won, hasn't he? It's a
I
tough one.
think Felder's he's been wanting Gaethje for a little bit as well, hasn't he?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Because
depends
stylistically, I think Felder's a better striker than Gaethje on the feet. I think the kicks are better than I think so.
depending on when this Khabib Tony fight takes place. Say it doesn't happen for another 6-7 months. You're into March or whatever. If say Gaethje wins, you could make a Gaethje Felder main event.
You could, yeah.
Put anywhere in North America and it's going to sell.
Or the undercard, Felder and Gaethje undercard.
Good. Absolutely.
To the main event of Khabib and Ferguson, because you could have the backup then.
Exactly. That wouldn't be a bad thing to do either. I still think, and he said it himself, he called out Conor. I wouldn't mind seeing a Conor versus Felder rematch. Calder Felder versus Conor fight and bring it to Dublin. Bring it to Dublin.
Yeah, definitely bring it to Dublin. Yeah.
Just get Conor back. It doesn't matter if it's on pay-per-view.
He needs to accept he needs a warm-up fight. Conor needs a warm-up fight.
Yeah. Conor's going to get paid regardless. Just give him a little bit extra to fight on a fight night. They'll throw it on big ESPN. Yeah. They'll get viewers in and they'll get people invested again. And I think it's a good matchup for someone like Conor.
Yeah.
I really do. I'm sure someone like Felder would love to fight, and some of the kind of roots of his family history, and you could put that in the biggest stadium in Ireland, and it's going to absolutely sell out easily. But I don't think they can do that. But put it in O2 and have 9,000, 10,000 tickets and have everybody clambering to get them. But I don't think it's a bad fight to put together. But I think what you said regarding Felder and Gaethje. Potentially there's a co-main event on the same card as like a Tony and Khabib, just in case something happens.
Well, not even a co-main, just as long as it's on the card.
Yeah.
As long as it's on there, it doesn't matter. Because even if you do two title fights, they can go on the main card or the prelims. It doesn't matter. It's only just as a protective thing. You see, to the pair of them, you're both fighting for 155. You're not 156 in. You're 155. Because if that pulls out, we need backup.
Well, they were going to make after the whole Conor thing in New York, Felder was the first one that was asked, wasn't he? So
but it was the rankings. It was because he wasn't in the rankings, wasn't it?
It's true. But the rest of the card, Curtis Blades is destroyer.
He's starting to get that groove, isn't he?
He is. He's one of those guys that he'll work on you. Once you start just fatiguing, he's going to beat the absolute piss out of you, and that's what he did to Shamil. Yeah. I think he's going to be a champion one day if he can get past. The thing is with Curtis, though, he'll win every other fight until he faces maybe an Ngannou, which has been the case. But I think he's got a decent chance of holding that belt one day. I really do. I think he's still fairly young, I want to say, as well. So who else was on the main card?
Makhachev,
yeah. I think we said there was like. If Khabib rules out, then you've got maybe someone like Makhachev. And Khabib will be the type of fighter, I don't doubt it for a second, that if Khabib is getting close out, he will just vacate the belt, and if Islam's in position to get that title shot or fight for the belt, he'll absolutely go out his way to maybe let Makhachev have a shot at it and fight whoever it is to get that belt. So he looked dominant. He's a good fighter, a really good fighter, actually. Taisimov, I mean...
What the hell happened to him? Where's he gone?
Yeah,
where's the man that's a destroyer?
It's hard to say, this guy's done, this guy's this and that, but he looked a shell of himself, and it's not because he looked fantastic after the first round. He got into his groove and he started beating Taisimov up. But Taisimov, I don't know, maybe he was on something before. Maybe that's the reason he's not fought as much. Maybe these visa things are kind of just a smoke screen for what's really going on. So I don't know, but he looked a shell of himself. Hopefully that he turns around and comes back, gets a couple of dominant wins and gets another decent opponent. But outside of that, in the prelims, Jojo, obviously. Close fight. You thought it could have really went either way. I edged it for Jojo, but I'm probably the most biased guy ever when it comes to Jojo fights, and especially when I've got money on it as well as a big underdog. So,
Belal Muhammad.
Yeah, but and he's wanting Li Jingliang next. I think that's a good match. I
like that idea.
Actually, yeah, especially when what he's done over in China, you try and take his name. It's going to be a fun fight. and a very, very kind of winnable fight, I think, for someone like Bilal. So he looked great. A Zaitar knockout it was just dirty. It was filthy.
It's definitely
And
Timo getting
Packalin,
knocked back into the
yeah,
regional scenes.
Timo needs to take a step away because that's two vicious, vicious knockouts. He's taken a lot of damage in that, and like I say, he was off for a couple of years, and he looked timid to me. He looked like he didn't want to take the shots, and once he did, he was like,
I'd be shocked
"Oh,
if he's in the UFC after it.
yeah." I think the UFC. I'll be surprised if the UFC. No, unless they're keeping him for someone to feed him to, like in his eye. Like it was the perfect. It was the perfect kind of storm for them to bring in someone like a Zaitar for someone like Packalin, not unless they go somewhere maybe in France or something, I don't know, and they've got someone they want to bring in to feed them to. But yeah, it was all right. I think Lerone Murphy, fair play to that kid for stepping in into against an opponent who very kind of timid. I think he actually won the fight when I looked at it, but he really didn't do enough to actually go out there and say he deserved to win the fight. So fair play to Murphy for getting the draw. I think he's going to be fairly decent. I'm going to keep a close eye on him.
What did you think of Khabib's £6 million payout?
What's that? That's how much he got?
Disclosed $6 million.
That's decent. That's good.
So
Because
that's obviously a bit of the Islam money going in there as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like I say, Khabib's not one of these people that's really motivated by money, but
No.
I bet you Khabib's got a fair old stash of money. Even before the Conor fight, he's probably had a stash of money there. So, like I say, he's not one of these guys that fights for money. He fights for just being the best, and yeah, fair play to the kid. But yeah, I thought it was an alright card. I hope the UFC kind of go back to Abu Dhabi. I think there were a lot of people kicking off with the heat and stuff like that, but you're in the Middle East. What do you expect?
Yeah, I think the people
but
on the
it's-
earlier prelims had a rough time,
Yeah.
but as I got to the main card, it did cool down a bit for them. But it's a yin and yang situation. Do they put the prelims on a bit later, so the main event's maybe 12, 1 o'clock?
Yeah,
That might be an idea for the future, and that would suit the US. But for us, no
yeah.
thanks.
Yeah. But like I say, it was a decent card. I think what's the next pay per view? We've got down in Australia for the next card. So
That's a Saturday. It's a so-so card, that.
yeah, that's going to be that's what I'm saying. It's a one fight card.
Ooh, yeah.
And I'm not being like disrespectful to Robert Whittaker, but he's shown that he's had injuries and he can pull out on the day of the fight, the day before the fight. If that happens there and they're selling, I think they were saying they sold
Stadium, isn't it?
50,000 tickets they've sold already. If that fight falls out,
I would
the
be
UFC,
pissed.
they're going to have to do something massive to keep those fans from wanting a refund. So this is why I'm
You
still
need
not sure.
two title fights on there
Yeah,
every
you need
time, and you need solid backup for someone like that.
Yeah, 100% agree with you.
Even if Khabib Ferguson, you do Khabib Ferguson, you still need a solid co-main event
Yeah.
to step in if that goes tits up.
The one thing I'd maybe think about is, and I know it's stupid to even say, but if if something happened and Whittaker Adesanya had to kind of fall out, you maybe, and I know it's really stupid to say, but like someone like a Volkanovski put an interim title on the line, and they don't mean anything anyway, and he's probably next in line.
Yeah.
But you could do that to have a belt there, and you've got a kind of local guy that they could kind of go to. But like I say, Max he's not injured, he's ready to go. So, but he just wants a bit of time off, which you can't.
Can't argue with stepping in that, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, overall a good card. I think we're on a run now where you're going to have decent cards, and then the kind of filler in between. There's going to be decent fights throughout. Like this next one, we're about to get into Vancouver, where the main event is really the top. That's it. I like the co-main event, but outside that, I'm like picking at straws a little bit.
Yeah, there's some fights I think if the right guy wins, it's what the UFC have planned to happen for him.
Yeah.
But it's all dependent on that opponent. If he doesn't do what he needs, if he goes and causes the upset, so to speak, on the apple cart for the UFC.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll jump into it, bro. Like you said, we've got this Canadian card going down. We'll start at the bottom, work our way up, the listing that we have. We have Kyle Prepolec against Austin Hubbard. Let's kick off with that, Will, and your little breakdown for them bad boys.
Yeah, I've got Hubbard here. I kind of enjoyed watching Prepolec in his UFC debut, but he was just
Mm.
undersized against someone like Taleb. And
Yeah,
when I look at Hubbard, I think he's got more ways to win the fight. I think he's more durable. I think he throws more. I think he can mix up a little bit more. So, yeah, like I said, I thought he was actually okay against Davy Ramos. That's a hard fight to come into the UFC
horrible fight.
against.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is. But I've got Hubbard to win that one.
yeah, I'm a Hubbard as well, bro. I think he's got good head movement, really good cardio. I thought he had fantastic cardio to go in that fight against him, and he's got really good output. Third round, high output, cracking some good shots. For me, Kyle, he can be a bit too patient. He can. He's got decent defense, but his distant management was one of the things that stood out to me more than anything. I thought he was just missing shots. He was just a bit short on some of the shots he was shooting out there, and that kind of obviously would be a little bit demoralising. But if you can't get that rhythm and range, you're chasing the fight then. And I think Hubbard can really take advantage of that, maybe with the counter strikes as well, with the shots missed. So I'm probably going for decision win for Hubbard because, man, he showed some tough grit in his last fight as well, and that was a hell of a fight to come into. So I'm picking Hubbard decision. Next up we have, Will, bantamweight division, Lewis Smolka against Ryan MacDonald. Interesting matchup. Lewis Smolka, last fight didn't quite go to plan, but to be fair, Lewis Smolka is kind of almost like a hit and miss guy. You know, you think if he's kind of like BJ Penn, where BJ Penn was hit and miss every now and then, and Lewis Smolka's got a great skill set. I just feel Ryan MacDonald actually might win this. Now, Ryan MacDonald doesn't check his leg kicks very well, so that's one thing that stood out to me. So I think if Ryan MacDonald gets someone like Peter Yan or, like even a Pedro, if he gets someone like a good leg kicker, he's going to have a tough time against him because he doesn't have a very good checking leg kicks. He's a bit tentative with his pressure, but he does mix his strikes up well with his punches and kicks, and I think that's where the fight can stretch out a bit. I think Lewis Smolka can throw a couple of good strikes, but if you put a bit of pressure on Smolka, you can rock him, you can put him in trouble. Bit of pressure on him. He wants that. Lewis would like to get the fight to the ground. As long as you can keep the pressure on Lewis on the ground and stay on top, you've got a good chance to win there. Yeah, I think Ryan can get the win here. I'm actually going to go and pick a little bit with Ryan MacDonald to snatch the victory. Yeah, just don't know what it is. I just think with Smolka, I can't always guarantee he's going to perform. Ryan MacDonald's going to be on home turf. Might be a bit of a home thing, like, woohoo, go Canada, yay. And from what I saw, I kind of think Ryan could do it.
Yeah, like I say, I don't disagree with you. Like, I'm going to pick Lewis Smolka for the simple fact that watching Ryan MacDonald, it was just like, dude, you don't deserve to be in the UFC. Like, you really don't. I thought he looked out of place in his UFC debut. You watch his fights outside of the UFC, and he was not fighting good fighters. He was crushing cans. Smolka, sometimes he's a little bit. You can get him. You can definitely get him, but he's got a definitive advantage if he can get this to the ground and start scrambling and start locking stuff up. Because from what I've seen, MacDonald, he's got no threat in the ground. So, I'm going to go Lewis Smolka, I think. But would it surprise me if Ryan MacDonald won? No way would it surprise me at all. So yeah.
Nice, interesting fight now, though, Will. Chase Skelly against Jordan Griffin. I think Chase Skelly, he started to turn into one of the degenerates. I think that's something he's big into, his betting.
Yes.
But Will, what do you think about the fight, though, with Chase and Jordan? Because I think it's a good matchup, this. It's one of the surprise ones on the undercard.
Yeah, I like the fight. I don't think I really like the fight for Skelly, though. I think Skelly started to show that there's a little bit of wear and tear on him, and he's been around. He's had some injuries. He's had to pull out of some fights. His back's kind of up against the wall against Jordan Griffin here. He lost that fight. He got knocked out by Jason Knight. Bobby Moffett caught him. That was a weird finish, though, where he started off really well, but then faded into the second round and got caught with a submission there. And Jordan Griffin, I was impressed in his UFC debut. I thought he showed a lot of tenacity. He faced a really tough guy in Dan Ige. Did show that he can get taken down. I think Skelly's going to want to take him down, but I don't think he can keep that for 15 minutes. And that's where I think Jordan Griffin's going to come in the late part of this fight, and he's going to be the one that's pressing action. He's going to be the one pushing the pace, and from the southpaw stance, he throws a lot of kind of wicked strikes as well. So I've got Jordan Griffin to win that one.
Yeah, Skelly, like you said, he's got a good first round in him. You know, he's got awkward striking, kind of weird wrestling, unorthodox kind of swinging the strikes because he's quite confident in his takedowns. But he's hittable. He's very hittable. He can be taken down himself, but he's got the submission games. As you saw, he got submitted against Moffitt, but I don't know how much he was out because he was defending it properly. He had the arm in to press the hips away. And he was really, as soon as he let go Moffitt, you see Chase get straight up, pissed as anything. I was like, I kind of agree with Chase because I was looking at that going, that's the correct defence. I thought, I would have let that go a little bit longer until he went limp. But that's just me. Yeah, like you say, the body kick from Jordan Griffin's nice. He's got a nasty little southpaw body kick, and I think that's the big factor. I think if I'm Jordan Griffin, I'm going to whip that in a couple of times just to get that gas tank of Skelly, slow that bad boy down in the first round, try to put the water in the basement for the second round. And Jordan Griffin, even though he gets taken down, he's got a really good defense from the bottom. He's very offensive. He is also good at reversals. Dan Ige is a beast in that first round, as you saw. Got really good ground and pound on Jordan, but in the second round it started to really change. Jordan was able to get, just out where Dan Ige started to get the reversals, get his own dominant positions, getting his own strikes. So I think the endurance Jordan can take a hard first round and come back super strong in the second and third because he can keep that pace. That was what I think caught Ige out. Ige went for a high pace in the first, couldn't keep it in the second and third, but Jordan was like, I can go at that pace. Let's keep going. And I think that's something like you say, Chase will get caught out. So I'm going to go like maybe a submission for Jordan Griffin. I think the scramble on the ground will catch Chase, and maybe Chase might get caught with another submission. So I'm going Mr. Griffin on this one too. Next up we have bantamweight division, interesting fight. Brad Katona against Hunter Azure making his debut. I feel bad for Brad because he just had a bad, tough, dogged wrestler. And what did they do? They gave him another tough, dogged wrestler in Hunter Azure. I think Hunter was a state champion, I want to say. He had a good credentials for his wrestling anyway. I can't remember the exact credential off him, sorry. So I feel bad for that. Don't mean to be rude to the kid. So Brad did show his takedown defense needed a little bit of work on. But he was not too bad at getting off his back. But he just couldn't get him off him in his last fight. He's got good endurance, not bad output. He's mixed his strikes up, but Hunter, he likes to throw his hands heavy because he's got a good, firm, hard base. So Brad, on the other hand, is quite light on his feet. Comes in, pepper, pepper, pepper. Hunter's just like, yeah, that's cute. I'm just gonna throw the heavy hands to get the wrestling in. I want to get your hands up to get the takedown and get the wrestling in. I think it's a tough fight for Brad, but I'm going to actually go for Brad Katona, bro. I think his last fight, he's went from a tough wrestler. I think he's got another one. So I think it's 2 in a row. So fight camp-wise, it's almost just don't change anything. Just tighten up the wrestling defense, maybe work on the underhook battle, work on the hips, especially if someone shoots in, getting the hip and the posture, push the head down. I think we might see Brad get the better of this one on Hunter. I think maybe Hunter as well, the Bright Lights debut. But I'm going to go Brad Katona on this one. I think he'll definitely have learned a lot from his last one, which is a great thing to go into this fight with.
Yeah, this is one of the fights I'm kind of looking forward to for the simple fact that Katona's one of the guys. It's weird because people will class him as a kind of a geek or nerd or whatever, but I find him really interesting to listen to.
Yeah.
The way he approaches the sport, and like how he approaches the whole entire, like, just everything about MMA. He's really interesting. I like watching interviews when I watch the James Lynch one, and like how he says, look, you forget about the first loss, you try and make the improvements that lost you that fight and try and learn from the next fight. And he's got someone he's going to try and wrestle him. So we're going to see if he's made any improvements. What he said in that interview with James Lynch is that he went to Penn State in America, which is probably the number 1, number 2 college for wrestling out there. Kale Sanderson's the main guy, I think, at Penn State, and he's probably the biggest legend in American wrestling there is, in grappling. So he was out there, I think, for 8, 9, 10 days. That's going to help you. It's not going to, obviously, you're not going to make massive leaps and bounds, but you're going to learn some stuff. And if you watch the Dvalishvili fight, it was more that he couldn't defend the single legs. Merab came out quick, through a lot of funky stuff like jumping kicks and back fists.
Like a young Khabib was.
Yeah, I think he had 5 or 6 takedowns, but half of those were single legs. And when I watched Hunter's, I think it was only 3 fights I managed to find of his, but there was none of that where he'd chain wrestle. He'd go from a double. He attacks the waist, attacks getting his hands clasped and getting them down from there. So I'm sure he's probably got a bit of chain wrestling where he moves into a single leg and so on. I just think Katona's going to box him up a little bit, but he has to be careful because Hunter's got some. You can see he's got some power in his hands.
Yeah.
And he's got that wrestling there. Now, I can maybe see Katona getting put down maybe one or 2 times, but I think on the feet, I think his technical boxing is going to really come to the fore here. I've got Brad Katona as well. I think from what I've seen Canelo on the last couple of days and so on, a lot of people are on Hunter here, and he is the underdog in this fight, but I've got Brad Katona. I think he wins this one.
Nice, bro, nice. Middleweight matchup next. Interesting one. Andrew Sanchez against Marvin Vettori.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a good scrap. What's going to happen now?
It's a good fight. I like Vettori in this one. I think he's at that age where he's like 25, coming 26. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see big jumps with this kid. I was really impressed before he went to the UFC. I liked watching some of his fights, and he's fought good fighters for the majority of his fight. Akhmedov's winning fights at the minute. Antonio Carlos Jr. Yeah, Adesanya's in there, Matanchi. So he had his couple of fights there with Uda and Miranda, which I think were good wins for him. But I think he's going to start making strides. I think he's going to start being a really, really tough fighter. And he's one of these guys that I love when it hits the third round. The guy comes for you then, and he throws a lot of output and so on. Sanchez, I think he's made a few improvements. I don't think that they're massive, massive improvements. I think in the Barrio fight there was spots where he looked in some kind of bad spots, and his cardio still something that really kind of worries me, and it does with Vettori a little bit as well. But like I said, he seems to get that second wind in the last part of the fight and really goes for it. And I don't think Sanchez is going to find it easy to get this guy down. And then on the feet, I think Vettori's more aggressive on the feet, and he throws more. So the only thing I don't like with this fight is the fact that Vettori is a massive favourite. Like, Andrew Sanchez is a plus 250 underdog, which I think is a little off. I think he should be an underdog, but just not plus 250. But overall, I've got Vettori winning the fight, probably via decision.
Yeah, I go Vettori as well. I think as well he's at King's MMA, so he's training with Rafael. So he's striking. He's got Kelvin Gastelum as well. Great training partner to have. And you did see in his last fight, you did see his striking improve a bit more. He's starting to use feints. He's very active for a middleweight, just rolling the shoulders, constantly getting the opponent to kind of almost tense up and be tentative. And he does. I think he's got a really good gas tank for middleweight, because the output that he puts in there, he's constantly. He doesn't throw. He throws every now and then. He'll throw a jab and just to feel a rangefinder. But when he comes at you with a cluster of shots, it is literally 3 or 4. He'll mix up body shots as well as head shots. He's very good with that. I think he's got actually not a bad takedown defense either. I think Marvin's got good hips in there with takedown defense. He's a strong kid. I think Andrew Sanchez got that good first round in him, when he'll try to go for that takedown and hope that it tires out your opponent for the second and third, because that's when he's tired. Man, he's just... I think he slows down a bit too much in the second and third, Andrew Sanchez, and really is open to getting hit. And he does get hit quite a lot in the second and third rounds. He has got a good single leg takedown, Andrew Sanchez, so it's something Marvin has to look out for. But ultimately, I think Marvin could really get a stoppage here. I think like late in the third round, he can maybe just really pile it onto Andrew Sanchez. Where Sanchez, if you look as well, in the first round, he's his hands are a bit down, he's relaxed, he's bobbing. Second round onwards, he's flat-footed, slows right down, and he's just grasping, and he's hoping that you mess up and then that he wins the fight. Next up, I'm going for Marvin as well, bro. Next up, we have in the bantamweight division, Cole Smith taking on Miles Johns. Bantamweight division, fun fight. A couple of young kids who are just going to make a bit of fun in this division. Cole Smith, tall dude. I think it was 5'11" for the bantamweight division. He is a tall dude for that weight class. He's got surprisingly not bad takedown defense for a tall dude. I thought he'd be a bit more open to his takedowns, but obviously he's very good at getting his legs wide apart and getting that kind of sprawl effect, so it's hard to get your hands together. I think Mitch Gandon couldn't just get the chain wrestling going, I think, because he was maybe open to the inside, to the single leg takedowns, chain up to other kind of other areas to get called down, but Cole's a little bit open to the strikes, which was a bit worrying, because my thing with Miles Johns is that dude has got a lovely combination of a left hook and right straight, I think it is, or is it? Yeah, he's an orthodox dude, I think, yeah. He's got a lovely hook straight combination, and he throws it powerful and hard and comes forward with it and finishes sometimes with the hook. There's a lot of power in this Miles John. I just worry a little bit about Miles John's cardio. That's the only little red flag I have, I think. If he could maybe taper it down a little bit and pace himself a bit better, or obviously do a bit more cardio, one or the other, he could be a bit better. But the thing is, something in Miles John's pocket, he's got that good takedowns. Man, he gets those takedowns when he's tired and he thinks the opponent feels they're getting something on him. He's got a really good takedown, gets on top and just nullifies it, gets his breath back, gets it back. I think he'll have a tougher time against Cole Smith. Man, I'm having a tough one on this one. I'm going to go Cole Smith. Even though he can be hittable, I think Cole Smith might be able, with the cardio, just outwork Miles Johns here in the second and third round and get a decision. But I'm not uber confident on it, man, because I think Miles Johns could easily just get that takedowns on him in the second and third and just maybe score it. But ultimately, I'm going to Cole Smith because he's had his debut, he's had the bright lights out of the way. It might play a factor against Miles Johns, so I'm going to Cole Smith, bro.
I'm going to go Miles John. Like what I see in the Dana White Contender Series, and I'm a little bit, sometimes I need to keep my eye open with fighters coming off there, because really what they're forced to do on Dana show is they're made to kind of fight out of their element a little bit.
Yeah.
They have to push to try and get an exciting finish, or they have to have an exciting fight to win the fight and get that contract, pretty much. And even though he went to a decision against Santiago on the Dana White Contender Series, he showed a lot of qualities with his hands. That Santiago took a lot of big strikes, but like you said, like he gets takedowns and he's very, very good with his wrestling. And I think that's something he's going to use here. He said in an interview after that with Laura Sanko, he was like, he pulled his groin like 4 weeks or 5 weeks out from that, and that he had to taper down. So his cardio kind of went, and he had to reserve some of that. So he didn't really go all out, and I kind of believe him in that. I love the camp that he comes from at Fortis. I think it's the camp of 2019. The rise of that camp's been incredible. Cole Smith, he kind of impressed me against Mitch Gagnon, but Gagnon doesn't fight. He's not like fought once in like 3 years or whatever it was, and it was like maybe twice in 6 years or something like that. So impressive, nice win in your debut. I think he's kind of like a hometown guy. He's from Vancouver. I think it could be close though. I do think it could be relatively close, but I've got Miles Jones to really just mix it up a little bit and kind of win a close decision.
Yeah, I'm not confident on either pick, so I kind of flipped the coin, I won't lie, with this Cole Smith one before the show. Heavyweight division, Marcin Tybura against Augusto, Sakai, Will, skinny boys thrown down.
Yeah.
Not exactly the most exciting fight, but it's happening.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be a great fight. I think it's going to be a lot of sloppiness in the fight. I think the rounds are going to be close. And when the rounds are close, I think Sakai's one of those guys that he's really hard to take rounds off. He just throws enough to do enough, if you know what I mean, to win the rounds. And that's kind of what I think he might do. He might be able to tie Tybura up a little bit. Tybura, I think he keeps his distance well with the kicks that he throws. But he doesn't really set them up, so they're just blind kicks. If he was to set them up with his hands, then maybe those kicks would be more effective. Where I think Sakai can maybe push him up against the cage, maybe get a takedown. But I think he's going to really hold up kind of Tybura a little bit. And I think these rounds are going to be close. But I think as the fight goes on, I think Sakai has a little bit of an advantage because Tybura gives you opportunities. He makes mistakes. And I think Sakai's not like super smart. He probably is a smart kind of guy in there, but it's like he does enough. He knows what he needs to do to kind of win rounds, and he kind of showed that in the Arlovsky fight as well. I thought. I like Sakai. I think Sakai is going to win a pretty boring fight, but pretty much to the fact that I think he can win close rounds, and Tybura will give him opportunities to kind of win those rounds. So, but he needs to win because he's losing too many fights, and they will cut him if that's the case, and he'll go back to KSW or whatever after that. But I've got Sakai for the win there.
Yeah, I think it's a hard one to pick because Tybura can have the higher output in his fight by a country mile. Sakai doesn't have the big output, but again, Sakai's so much, like, he cuts to 265. So he's a big lad. I would actually like to see him actually bother to get rid of that body fat on his, and just cut down to 255. I think he'd be a far better all-round heavyweight that without extra weight cut off him. I think he'd get a bit more output in himself, a bit better cardio to move around. He's not carrying that excess weight. I still think he'd be strong. Like you said, I think the clinch is where he's going to try and win the fight. If he's going to try and close it up, clinch it, and just kind of grind Tybura down with those kind of knees and little dirty boxing. And I think Tybura might get a caught with a couple of shots. I think Tybura's definitely going to hit Sakai, but I think Sakai will get this. Do I think Tybura gets stopped? I don't think he will. I don't think Sakai's one of the top guys. I think Tybura can kind of beat this one. I think it's a decision Sakai, but I'm uber not arsed either, because I don't think either of them are going to get anywhere in the top 5 ever. But I'd probably go Sakai decision, to be honest with you. I think Tybura can toughen it out sometimes, and I think Sakai's not quality, hasn't got the quality really to stop it. But next up we have starting the main card, a pretty fun fight. Misha Cirkunov against Jimmy Crute. I like the matchup. I think this is a good one. I think this is one of the fights where I was saying before, I think this one where the UFC want Jimmy Crute to win. Jimmy Crute, young kid, coming doing so well so far, couple of stoppages. Misha, what's happening with that chin? You know, he was doing well against Glover, and then he got taken down, and then got pounded out. And then that kind of showed you that Misha, you probably don't have a black belt like Glover has a black belt, but at the same time, punches are involved. I did look alright, Misha, but then again, you got to remember Glover's 38, 38 at the time. He was a bit tentative after his last loss. So Misha looked alright, but I think Jimmy Crute's got good pop in his hands. He's looking a lot calmer, a lot more efficient in his last fight against Sam Alvey. And I'm actually going to go Jimmy Crute, mate, honestly. I just think that Jimmy could... He's shown himself on the ground. He's got some submission games. He's got an arsenal on the ground. I think Jimmy might be able to stop Misha. I think the hands standing on the feet. Misha, if I'm him, I want to take Jimmy Crute down and just kind of nullify any potential threats of a punch to the face. But, man, I want to go Jimmy Crute, man. I want to go wild and go with the young gun.
Yeah, I'm not picking Misha. I think the guy can't take a shot, really. And I'm not saying that Jimmy Crute's like a big knockout artist, but it doesn't really take much to put Cirkunov down. But he is dangerous on the ground. But I think it's like Crute he's decent on the ground as well. He's not all that bad. He's still green as a fighter. But I think it's the type of fight you can give him there. But you have to be careful, because Cirkunov, if you give him an opportunity to get it to the ground, he can lock stuff up really, really quickly. But while it's on the feet, it's pretty much Crute's fight, because even if he has a kind of off night, it takes one little strike from him, and we've seen Cirkunov go down. And he's taking a lot of punishment with those knockouts. Just be careful. Keep it on the feet. I think he'll stop someone like Misha with strikes. I really do. So I've got Jimmy Crute to win via stoppage.
Oh, nice. Okay, next up is an interesting one. Kind of middle of the road kind of match here for Uriah Hall. I think he's 35 or something now. It's kind of questionable what he's doing. I think it's just maybe the cash, he's making the money before he finishes against Anthonio Carlos Jr. Middleweight division. Mm-hmm. What do you see here?
Yeah, this fight's pretty simple to break down. If this fight hits the ground, big advantage Carlos Jr. If this is on the feet, big advantage Uriah Hall. but Uriah Hall, he will give you opportunities. Like he was losing that fight to Bevon Lewis, and then at any time he can pull out a massive strike and win the fight. He does that. That's what he does. Like in the Costa fight, great jabs. It was really working Costa with the jabs, but he was eating the bigger, cleaner strikes from Costa, like the big power shots. But like I said, if this fight hits the mat, in the what fight was it? The Whitaker fight. I think it was the
Kelvin Gastelum fight as well.
Yeah, the Jotko fight. If they get into the ground, people usually get to a full mount position, and then you're probably facing outside of Musasi your most dangerous guy on the ground that he's probably ever faced.
Huge at middleweight as well.
Yeah,
Antonio.
yes, he's a big guy.
Big middleweight.
But for as long as he stays on the feet, Uriah Hall's going to have the advantage. But he's always behind in fights, and that's kind of a little bit dangerous. And plus, he doesn't really fight all that often. Like he fought back in December, he should have really been fighting before then. Fought once in 2018, twice in 2018, once in 2017, a couple of times. So he's not really been super active. But I'm going to pick Uriah Hall. I'm actually going to pick Uriah Hall here. He's going to be my kind of flyer of the week, where I think he's got an opportunity to win someone a lot of money. I, for hell, won't be betting on Uriah Hall, but he could win some people some money out there with his knockouts or whatever. But like I say, your arsehole will be twitching if this hits the ground more than once, because I think all it takes is once to get this guy down. You could potentially get him out of there. But while it's on the feet, I think he outclasses Zapata, DeCaro on the feet, and can stop him. He can stop any guy once he puts it all together. So I'll go Uriah Hall via knockout.
Yeah, I'd love to see Uriah Hall choose that jab again. Just the perfect opponent to do it with. Carlos Jr. hasn't got the footwork to close it down, hasn't got the head movement to get out of the way. He doesn't have the striking, obviously, to come back at him with. I think we both know Junior's goal is strike to close, to grip, to get down. Yeah. I know he's at ATT, so his striking will improve. So I'm not doubting that. Obviously, he can come to this fight and his striking could have developed a bit more. He could have added one strike, maybe like a good hook to his game or whatever. But it's not enough in the time he needs to face someone like Uriah Hall on a striking basis. My problem is I don't think Junior's that fast on the feet to close distance. My only thing is, can Uriah Hall get to the third round and to get the decision? Can he keep the light foot movement? Can he keep moving out of the way for 3 rounds? I don't know, but I think I'm with you. I kind of favour Uriah Hall, but I'm going to go Junior just because I like this fight as a flipping. Like, that was kind of like before with the Cole Smith and Miles Johns. And I think this one is the same one. And soon now you went for Hall, because I was sitting here twitching me bumhole as well. It's like, I don't know who to go for. I wouldn't put money on it, not a chance. I'm going to go with Junior, and I'll say he'll get the takedown in the later rounds and maybe get submission on Uriah Hall. Because I'm not super arsed about the matchup. Because Uriah Hall, for me, he's just getting some paychecks and that's him done. He's not ever fighting for a title or getting anywhere near a title fight. Junior, same again. I think Junior's probably going to be, maximum he'll do is maybe top 10, and that'll be about it for him in his career. But you need these guys in the UFC, so that's where we'll go with that one. Next up we have Will, though, because we haven't got a matchup yet for Michael Pereira, so we're skipping that one. But the heavyweight division, legend coming back in Todd Duffee. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know who Todd Duffee is, it shows how new you are to MMA. Because he last fought in 2015. So if you've never heard of Todd Duffee, he is actually, when he first came on, I remember when he burst onto the scene, this dude was just young, chiseled jaw, body like literally Paulo Costa heavyweight size, like just shredded big jack kid. Came in, murking guys. Everyone was like, it's the next big thing. He's the new face of the UFC. And the UFC were pushing this kid big time. And then he came up against Frank Mir, and he got absolutely murked. But that fight was crazy. It was like 2 minutes long. The pair of them just swung at each other. Mir got him early on. Man, that was insane. Cracking fight. So he's been out for a while now. Don't worry, he's been out for 4 years because he had an ACL injury. No, sorry, he had a shoulder injury, came back from his shoulder surgery. Then his knee went, so he had to get ACL surgery on his knee. Then they found out he needed surgery on the other knee while they were looking at the other knee. So sadly for him, he had to wait till the knee was recovered to go back for surgery for the second knee. Once he had surgery on his second knee, he got MRSA infection on his knee. So he's just basically had a shit show over time. Now, when you're out for 4 years and you had three surgeries, that tells me you don't have a lot of time to train. That tells me your body's been recovering, not improving. So I know he's only 33 years old, so in the heavyweight division that's not too bad. But it reminds me of Cain Velasquez. You know, Cain Velasquez with all those injuries and the surgeries and going out, and when came back he wasn't the same. And I think Todd Duffee might be similar. What's his body going to be like? How much has he really been? How much full-time effort training has he had? I know he's been to the UFC Performance Institute, but Jeff Hughes is just a classic fat man. Durable, can take a hit, paces himself so he's got 3 rounds. He looked a bit tentative in the Maurice Green fight, which was really weird because he'd fought before outside of the UFC and he was a way different guy then. It was weird. It must have been like the UFC lights got him and like, oh my God, make my UFC debut. And it just caught him out for some reason. It was really strange. The third round, he just did nothing. Coaches are shouting at him to do stuff. I don't know what was going on in his head. So I think Jeff Hughes will want to make amends. And if I'm honest, this is the perfect fight, Todd Duffee, because Todd Duffee's going to come out, he'll swing, because he's a moron, with his awful striking. And I think Jeff can take can absorb it, counter-strike back. But I think Jeff will weirdly have a better cardio than Todd Duffee, even though Jeff's a big fat boy. It's the best way to describe Jeff. Jeff Hughes, folks. If you Google him, you'll see it. He is like a Roy Nelson. Loves pork pies. But I'm going Jeff Hughes here for the win. I can't pick a guy who's been out for 4 years, 2 knee surgeries and a shoulder surgery. And the last time he fought, he got absolutely murked on the ground, face planted. Man, I've got to go Hughes every day on this one.
Yeah, like I say, if you've never watched Todd Duffee, the UFC Fight Pass, and just go and watch just carnage with the kids, really is. Like, his first fight was like 2009 in the UFC, so that was a long ass time ago, and he went somewhere else and fought over him in Japan, and then came back.
Over him, yeah. I could do the Mexican supplements, that's what a pair of them were thinking.
Yeah. But like, super aggressive, very open. If you've got any decent counter striking, you can knock this guy out. Just don't get caught, and you can beat this guy pretty much. When you watched that Frank Mir, like, it was just crazy from the get go. Frank Mir was landing left hands, really staggered him, and I think he caught Mir with a couple of shots, and then he just ate an absolute filthy left hook from Frank Mir, which like poleaxed him, knocked him clean out, kind of like Timo Packalin at the weekend past there. Yeah, this is one of these fights was like flip a coin, see where it lands, and then go with the guy that you put on that side. I thought Hughes didn't look good in his last fight. You've got to, I think you've got to favour him here. But yeah, honestly, this fight could kind of go, depending on what Todd Duffee does. It just doesn't seem to me like the kind of fighter that's going to fight a smart game plan. He's going to come out and be aggressive. So heavyweight, you could eat a shot and get taken down, put down like he did against Frank Mir. So I'll go Jeff Hughes, but would it surprise me if Todd Duffee came out and knocked him out in 30 seconds? Not really, but yeah, I think realistically you kind of have to edge Jeff Hughes here, but it's like no real confidence in the pick, really, to be honest with you.
No. Next up we have in the co-main event, Glover Teixeira against Nikita Krylov, the Russian gangster. Oh yeah. So, Will, what you're looking forward to in this match? Because so, you know, I wouldn't say changing of the guard. Krylov is kind of a well-established dude, but man, he's knocking on that door. 39 years old, Glover. What's he doing? You know what I mean? Is he going? Do you think you put him in? Do you think he's another title contention in him, or what are you looking forward to, man?
No, I think by the way that UFC are matching him up, they're giving him these kind of young kids that are coming through. I think they're going to be the next guys, like your Crute Labas and stuff. And he was struggling in that fight. I mean, he was eating some shots. He had a spinning back fist, which crippled him a little bit. But when when you look at the Robertson fight, he even took a few shots in that one, but there's no ground game in those last two guys. And I'm not saying there's a massive ground game with Krylov, because it seems to me every time that he gets taken down, apart from the last fight, which is decent, that he seems to always get submitted. He will give you an opportunity to lock something up. And in the OSP fight, I think he got taken down a few times in the first round, but then he actually got the back and he submitted OSP. I'm a massive fan of Nikita Krylov. I really have. I have been ever since I think it was 2014, and even before then, before he fought in Ireland. I just like the way he fights. He's very aggressive. His fights always end in like finishes. It never really goes to decision. So he's super aggressive. He's either kill or be killed. And I put out a tweet earlier on today. I was like, it's that a certain fighter, once you see that they've got a fight and there's odds out there, who do you bet? For me, it's Nikita Krylov. I always bet on him. I bet him against Jan Blachowicz. He lost. I bet him against, he was an underdog. I bet him against OSP. He was an underdog. I won that one. But then I go back there, Misha Cirkunov, I bet him there, he lost. Ed Herman, I bet him there, he won. So he's the kind of guy that I bet on every fight, because he's got an opportunity to finish the fight, or he's going to get finished. And just an early spoiler, I've bet him here as well. So yeah, he was an underdog. He's not an underdog anymore. So I bet him. I've got him to win here. But if this fight gets put in the ground, then I'm going to be counting chickens to see if he gets back to his feet, because that's where Glover obviously wants to fight, because his shot resistance is went. You can see that someone like Krute is he's a big monster, dude. So he hits hard and he's very, very, very aggressive. Where I think that Krylov, he kind of fights more from a kicking stance, and he can throw kind of longer kicks, and after the kicks he throws combinations after it. So Glover has to be careful. He obviously wants it to the ground, and I think that Krylov might give him an opportunity to get it there. I just think that, like I said, I kind of pick against Nikita. I don't know what it is with that guy, because I love watching him fight. I love betting his fights. I've got him to win via TKO, maybe late first round, early second round here, but I will be kind of chomping at the bit if this fight goes to the ground. I'll be like chewing my fingers, seeing how that one goes. But I've got Krylov via stoppage.
Yeah, the Fabio Maldonado fight was a good one.
Yeah,
that was fun. But yeah, like you said, he just doesn't like decisions. He literally would rather lose than let it go to the referee, which I kind of like you say, he's one of those guys that turn into like a fan. He's never had a decision. Do you know what I mean? That's insane. He's never 25 fights, decisions. No, me no want no decision. I just would like to see him in this fight use his karate that he has. His Kurokushin. Is it Kurokushin karate?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, so he's got that in his arsenal, and that style would be perfect for this fight. You know, it's hard for him to be tentative, but imagine if he just counter-striked a bit with Glover and that chin, that, just being, using the footwork, bouncing out, popping the straights. Glover would have a really hard time, because Glover's footwork isn't quite as fast as it used to be. He is slower, and that chin isn't as strong as it was. I think that would be perfect. Straight kicks down the middle, like the body and the head. I think those would be perfect. I would like him to do that, and I think his coaches would like him to do that. But Nikita doesn't listen to anyone but Nikita's little thoughts in his head. So what Nikita does, nobody fucking knows. I think Glover is at that point where he tells himself he can make it to the title fight again, kind of like Chuck Liddell did, and I think Chuck's a really good friend of yours. I wish he would talk to you and have that talk, but he's not listening to himself. He thinks he's got another stab. I just don't think Glover I don't know if Glover's fighting out his contract to retire. I don't know. I think it's just money. It purely has to be money now, because there is no way he thinks how you think you've got a shot at getting anywhere near that belt is beyond me, especially with Jones holding the title. Got no chance. So I'm going to go Krylov. He's really, really awkward to bet on. I know you bet on him, it's a tentative one. But I'm going to go Krylov. Definitely the fight will not go the free distance, I can tell you that now, folks. So if you want to put money on a fight, I think will not going the distance would be a good one. And then, yeah, so I'm going to Krylov. But main event time, Mr. Donald Cerrone against Justin Gaethje. Kind of went under the radar with the Dustin Poirier Khabib fights coming up late, so kind of this fight hasn't been really talked about much, if you notice on the social media, but now it can be released, so to speak. But hell of a fight to have, really. Cerrone's resurgence at 155. Justin Gaethje, just a violent man in general. I think the fight itself, the matchup itself, is a good fight. Because I think you'll see both of them stand up and go. 5 rounds, good scrap again. I just think it kind of falls well for Justin Gaethje, this fight. I think Justin Gaethje with the leg kicks will make a big difference in the fight. I think Cerrone will throw... Cerrone is he's a live dog. Like me and Will spoke about this off air. I think Cerrone can throw those head kicks at any point and crack that skull, because Gaethje will take it out on the head. And we know Gaethje's got the wrestling, but he never bothers to use it, so there's no point in talking about it. I think you'll see Gaethje just use the combinations, get the leg kick, slow Donald Cerrone down, and I think he will just wear Cerrone out by the forward aggression, have Cerrone moving back all the time, and just constantly throwing. I think Cerrone will want to just stand and maybe try to be the aggressor, but it won't work out well for him. I'm going to go Gaethje with a stoppage. Later rounds, it's a shame because Cerrone was on a bit of a roll, because he's doing it for his little kid. It's awesome when he stands there and he points at his kid. I'm doing it for him. You're like, yeah, fuck yeah. As a parent, as me and Will are parents, like, fuck yeah, do it for your kid. Go. Daddy status. But there's a line. There's only so much you can do. There's only so much your body can take. And Cerrone over the years, as much as Gaethje's taken a pound, and so's Donald Cerrone, the pair of them. So I'm going to go Gaethje slightly. I've got a slight favouritism towards Gaethje. I just think it suits Gaethje's style because Cerrone is open to shots. Cerrone wants a little bit of space between the two opponents to time it and slice you up and pick you open with the feints and the fakes, etc. But Gaethje doesn't really give him the time for that. I think the forward pressure of Gaethje will toll. Maybe 4th, 5th round stopping for Gaethje. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that, bro.
Mm-hmm. It's a great fight. I'm happy that they've made it. I do think it's a little bit soon for Cerrone, and I know that seems Cerrone would like to fight every month probably. But I mean, he took a lot of damage in that Tony Ferguson fight, and the fight was pretty much made 4, 5, 6 weeks after the Ferguson fight concluded, which is not a surprise with Cerrone. But he blew that nose out, which busted his eye up, shut his eye. And like I said, he took a lot of damage in that one. The right kind of matchups are the ones like your Mike Perry, your Alexander Hernandez, your Ali Quinta. But once you get into the top guys, Cerrone just doesn't. He never has did well with kind of that guys like that, like Masvidal, top guy, fast striker. Darren Till, pressure guy. I don't want to say he's a top guy. I know he fought for a belt, but yeah, big dude. Like he's a massive guy. Like he's going to be huge at middleweight, Darren Till. So that's going to be interesting to see him against Gastelum. Leon Edwards, say what you want. The guy's a top 5 welterweight. Really, really good, really efficient. But then Ferguson, he's held a belt. He should be fighting Khabib next in one of the biggest fights there's going to be in the lightweight division. And then you step in here, you've got like Terminator, Justin Gaethje, he's just all violence. That's what it is. That's all he knows. And you put him with someone like Cerrone who can pick his shots well. I don't think he wears the damage as well as what Gaethje does. But if you can get off him Gaethje enough, you can make him well. Eddie Alvarez got him, DP got him, Dustin Poirier got him. You can break this guy down, and he gives you opportunities because his defense is pretty much just shelling up. So you can whip kicks to the body, you can whip kicks to the legs. But you've seen in the Barboza fight that he can come out and he can do the exact same. He can whip those leg kicks, he can attack the body, And one of the weaknesses in Cerrone has always been attacking his body. And once you've kind of got him backing up and he's not being able to respond with counter strikes, then you can really, really get him. Like I say, Cerrone is the guy's obviously going to be a Hall of Famer no matter what he does. But I just think this is a fight too quick, going from early June to mid-September. I think he should have taken another 2-3 months off, maybe fought a game before the end of the year. But that's Cerrone's way. I just think that Gaethje, eventually, he's the one that's going to start breaking Cerrone down a little bit with his striking, and he'll take him out via TKO. So I've got Gaethje in rounds 3 or rounds 4 there. But it's Cerrone. He could pull something out. I think it's his 50th fight, actually, for... I want to say for Cerrone. So no, this is number 49. It's going to be so not far off. No, it's going to be number 50 because he had one no contest. So yeah, I'm going to go Gaethje though. I think looking at the betting line, actually, we're just going to get into the bets in a second. But quickly looking at that, I think the betting lines it could be a little bit closer. Like Gaethje's minus 190. I think he should be minus 150ish. So yeah, but I've got Gaethje in that spot there.
Well, speaking about picks, that's our picks done, and now speaking about bets, let's move on to the next section, folks. As always, put down your picks below. Let us know who you think are winning. Don't have to do every fight on the card, but if there's any fights in particular you're confident about, or why you think certain fighters will win, do give us a shout. Let's go to the bets, Will. You mentioned about the odds. Again, ladies and gentlemen, want to hear what your thoughts are on your bets, if you put any down, or maybe throw suggestions to us on who you think would this pairing work, or would maybe these picks, or prop bets. Feel free to comment. But Will, looking at what the card is now and the odds, is there anything maybe you think later on in the week might be worth keeping an eye on, and is there anything now worth maybe jumping on?
Well, I've got 2 bets already, but like going off last week, like I think I had 6 bets over. I had 2 on Bellator and I had 4 on the UFC, and I went 3-3. But I was in profit over those 6 bets. I had Jojo, I had Bilal and Azaitar in a parlay, which was good.
Tyson fucked my day off.
Yeah. Then Tyson open up, but I had Emmanuel Sanchez who fights on Bellator, who's an absolute demon. Motherfucker,
isn't he?
He really is. But this one here, like I said, I told you earlier on, I bet Nikita Krylov. I saw him at plus 110. He was an underdog. I was probably going to bet him if he was minus 1 something, but he had underdog odds. And like him and Teixeira are both minus 110, so it's a pick 'em fight. I'm probably going to bet Nikita Krylov in every UFC fight he ever has, win or lose. So yeah, and the other bet that I've got is Augusto Sakai. Actually, bet him yesterday at plus 110 as well, so and he's now minus 105. That's pretty much a pick 'em with Tybura, so very, very, very close fights. But there's fights on here that are pretty closely matched, are line-wise, that they're quite close. You've got Cole Smith, Miles Jones, like minus 140 for Jones, plus 120 for Smith. I don't think I'd bet that fight. I picked Uriah Hall. He's a big underdog, but if you're betting that, I would stay away from kind of betting that fight, if I'm being honest with you, because Uriah Hall could get taken down first exchange and then he's dead. So,
what about Sanchez Vettori?
Yeah, well, Sanchez is a massive underdog. He's plus 250. Vettori's minus 300. Now, if Vettori was maybe minus 200, I'd maybe think about parlaying him up. I've been trying to look to find a parlay for this card, and I'm kind of struggled a little bit.
What's Skelly and Griffin?
Skelly is a plus 115 underdog, and Griffin's minus 135. So you're maybe getting a decent bet on someone like Jordan Griffin there as well. But like I said, I had my 2 bets kind of locked in, and I was thinking, right, who would I go against again? Jim Crute actually is minus 115.
So would you do Crute and Griffin?
I wouldn't parlay them because you could play them straight. At least I would. Some people out there will parlay them, but I won't. I just play them straight. But Crute's came down a long way, so he might get close to being an underdog this fight. So people are obviously putting their money in Cirkunov. So
is that worth waiting then till
maybe
later on in the week to see what goes on with those numbers?
I think he was minus 185 at one point, so he's come down to minus 115. So it's coming down. So there might be a chance I bet Jim Crute, possibly. But yeah, I'm trying to find a parlay because I like doing parlays. Prop bets I'm shocking at. Like one of the bets I had last week was, and I was I was so positive he was gonna stop inside the distance by KO or sub was Don Madge. I thought he can sub him, he can knock him out, and then I look at my phone and it's like 30-27 Don Madge. I'm like, you motherfucker! It's like, but then I heard he went in there with an injury,
Broken foot, I think he said, didn't he?
broken foot, and so that's what it is.
What
But
about Austin Hubbard? Hubbard, what's his odds?
8 minus 165, and that's coming down.
That's
So
strong.
it's only coming in Prepolec. The parlay I was looking at originally was Gaethje and Austin Hubbard,
All right,
but
okay.
then I thought I think I'm going to stay away from Gaethje just because that fight's. I just don't think I can bear that fight, especially at those odds. I think if it was a little bit lower, I might bet him straight. But
What about
yeah,
Hubbard and Griffin then? Would those two ever be all right odds? Do you think?
again, I think I'd play Griffin straight. But
Yeah, yeah.
if you want,
I mean, if
some
you
people
wanted to make
like-
if you wanted to make a parlay of some sort,
Yeah.
would those kind of odds be? I'm obviously not the betting connoisseur, but I'm just trying to
Yeah.
spitball ideas for folks at home as
you
well.
get decent odds on that on Hubbard and Griffin. But like I say, I was thinking earlier on, I was like Lewis Smolka, and I was like, I got told off by a couple of guys like, don't even think about doing that because that's just bad news written all over it. So the lines might change, and I might get Michel Pereira, or Michael Pereira, whatever his name is. If he gets that opponent and is decent odds, even minus 300-ish, I could parlay him up with someone like a Hubbard.
Yeah,
And that's something I might look at. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm going. I'm probably going to have probably maybe one, maybe two more bets. Probably Crute. I'm probably going to end up betting Crute at some point. So yeah, kind of where I'm going this week.
so that's the bets this week. Let us know yours. Like I said before, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And as always, thank you for listening. We will be back next week with another card because it's non-stop now for a fucking long time. But we'll enjoy it. We love doing it. Not a bad fight next up. Some boring guys called Jeremy Never Brings a Fight Stevens against Yari Never Does Flashy Kicks Rodriguez. So that card's happening. Not a bad undercard either. Some couple of interesting fights to look at there as well. So we'll be back to talk about that fight card really. So we look forward to talking about that then. And as always, thanks very much, folks.